Hi, and welcome to Have a Chat. I am your host today, Veronique Arsenault, and I am joined by my stunningly beautiful, ever-enchanting, amazingly brilliant, and wonderful co-host, Judy Loge.
Are any more adjectives? I'm waiting. No, Veronique, you're always so kind, and thank you for that. You're beautiful yourself, and it's one of my highlights spending time with you every Monday. So hello to everybody watching our show today. Have a chat.
Me too. I absolutely love it. Audrey is up to her eyeballs, absolutely, with getting back to work, getting the salon open. And so she's taking a break this week, although it's not a break for her because she's working straight flat out. And we wish her and all of her colleagues just a huge amount of success as they attempt to reopen amidst everything that's going on. It's been incredible. But, you know, as we think about today, and it is hot. It is hot today. It is one of those days where, yeah, it is grossly hot. You know, since we've been home with the pandemic, and we're safe at home, we've been shooting the show from our houses, which is pre-taped. Normally we'd be in the studio live every week, but we can't do that in this format, which is great because it gives us an opportunity to have a blooper reel as well. But it is 49 degrees today with the Humidex.
Do you know what, though? I absolutely love the heat, and no matter how hot it gets, I'm good. I'm always cold. This is a beautiful, I'm happy about it. I actually am happy. It's a gift for me to receive this heat.
See, I'm happiest around 25 degrees.
That's nice.
It's a beautiful,
that is
beautiful
nice.
Temperature.
Yeah.
Judy, you have our very wonderful quote for this week, so I'll get you to kick that off now.
I do have the quote, and I chose a quote when and you and I had lined up our guests with our producers for this week, Veronique. I thought it was very pertaining. So I chose this one by Jaime Cassio, and it goes like this. Resilience is all about being able to overcome the unexpected. Sustainability is about survival. The goal of resilience is to thrive. You like that?
I love it. I love it.
I like that too.
Yeah, and you're right. You know, it definitely connects with our guests on the show later. We're going to have Natalie Bagel and Pat Jepson update us about their journey through kidney donation. But it also fits with everything that's going on right now and trying to, you know, navigate the pandemic.
And how to thrive. And luckily for us, we're surrounded by people that we love and care about. A lot of people are alone, but we have our families nearby. Your dad's away, and we have members of our family that are far away, and yet we have immediate loved ones and friends that we can connect with on a daily basis. And it's so important to know that you have that network of its surrounding that can pick you up when you're down, or you can do that for them.
Absolutely, and you know that connection. You're right. We're very lucky to have it, and for it not to be far. Although you and I have not physically seen each other in about 11 or so weeks now, so you know it's changed the way we kind of live our lives as well. And you know, some days I think Mom's tired of being stuck with me, and then other days we're lucky. We know how lucky we are to be together. So you know, I think everybody's kind of doing that up and down.
Yes. I mean, here we are. How many days now, Vero? Is it 74?
Yeah, it is 74 days, I think, since we started working from home, which has made, you know, a huge difference. I'm lucky in that way that I do get to work from home. But yeah, it seems like I never imagined that we'd be 74 days.
Yeah. But we've got so much going on, Veronique. I mean, everyone right now is just they're so upset because of that case, the cluster that's been happening in the Campbellton area with the health professional. I mean, it's so disturbing when we were doing so great. We were having such a great track record. Premier Higgs and Dr. Jennifer Russell were, I mean, just doing everything they could do to help us and guide us into doing the protocol with the distancing and masks and say, you know what I mean? We were really proud until this one person decided that they were going to break the rule. And you might want to address it. I mean, I get so upset about it that we can just, I'll hear it from you and then I'll give my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and I will admit that tough one. They announced, Dr. Jennifer Russell announced the cluster in Campbellton from a healthcare professional who crossed into Quebec and then returned home, did not self-isolate, and actually they say could have come in contact with upwards of 150 patients at the Campbellton Hospital, other healthcare professionals, up to 50 healthcare professionals. And it's tough, right? Because you think, well, those people would have had no idea, of course, that they came in contact with a potential case. And so they probably traveled down to see family and friends in Fredericton or Miramichi or Bathurst or, the Acadian Peninsula. And so that has the potential of, spreading virally across the province now.
It's totally terrifying. I mean, we have to realize that these healthcare professionals and a lot of people have to travel from their home, say it is Campbellton, into Quebec. But when they come back, they have to self-isolate, and that's why there hasn't been, because they're probably doing their job. But this one person chose not to, and I'm sorry, but to me that's just arrogant and entitled, and I'm allowed to say that because people are really, really upset about this person. I mean, if you're going to go somewhere, okay, where there is let me think now, Ontario has, 30% of the cases in Canada, and Quebec has 56% of the cases in Canada? 56! And so we know what the numbers are there. It just goes to say that if you go to see anybody or go for any reason to Quebec, that the chances of you getting it are very, very high. So if you're not going to come back and respect the people around you, especially an educated person like that is treating patients, probably has children, a wife, I'm sorry. I have no time for people that are that inconsiderate. And I'm sorry. I really do hope this person is charged. And it's negligence, and it's also endangering lives. It's pretty heavy, and it's disgusting, in my opinion.
Well, and I think, you're echoing the sentiments of so many people. And, I've worried a lot over the last, 73 days about victim shaming, and victims in this case being those who have been infected through a variety of means, and mostly through no fault of their own. They either traveled before we knew what was going on. But in this case, it just feels so personal because this person chose not to, and they made that decision to potentially, to take that risk themselves, and that's their choice as a human being, to take the risk to go into Quebec and expose themselves. But then they put out everyone else at risk, and nobody else was given that choice to make the decision. And you're right, we're seeing so much anger, and we're seeing so much blame being placed because of what's happened. And I truly pray, I truly pray that no one dies from this, and from this cluster.
And, when you think about it, with the emergency department at the Campbellton Hospital being closed down for at least 24 hours, maybe still, I have no idea, but that was as of last evening. We could carry the overflow of some of those patients at Region 7 Hospital in Miramichi, not to mention having to go to perhaps Bathurst to be treated, the Tracadie Hospital. We don't know where these people from Restigouche are going to have to go if they're in an emergency situation, because this health professional was in touch with a lot of those people that work at that very hospital, as I just said earlier. And so where does this all come? If we have specialists that are treating people in Moncton, perhaps from the Campbellton area, what's to say that that person didn't go from Campbellton last week that was asymptomatic to see their, maybe a urologist or cardiologist or somebody, oncologist in Moncton, and take it there? It's just so frustrating because we've been trying so hard around here to follow protocol. And I mean, people are breaking it, of course. In Ontario last week, they had 10,000 people break the social distancing guidelines in Trinity Park. So that was just terrible. I'm getting all worked up because it's making me mad. They don't realize it's a pandemic and how serious this whole thing really is. And it's just not going to go away for some time.
No, and you're very right. Like, it's, we have to take it seriously. And I'm not living in fear, but I have a really healthy respect for the consequences of this virus. And so, I don't want to be responsible for my mother getting ill, right? We've battled so hard to keep her well, through her surgery. Mm-hmm. My worry is that for the rest of the province, we're going to have to do the same at some point. So, there will be that back and forth, but it's hard.
Veronique, I guess I am shaming that person. I don't normally do that because we're all human and we all make mistakes and we all do things, break rules. However, this was very, very wrong for that health professional to not realize when he was going into a very infected province that he may potentially bring that back. So it was just very nonchalant on his behalf. I find it just inexcusable myself, but it's here nor there. Now we just have to try to hope and pray, like you said, people stay safe and don't die from this.
It's grad season for our 2020 graduates. And although there are no proms happening across the province, there are some graduation ceremonies. Now, they're a little different than, we might have expected, but over the last few days, we've started to see some of that, and that's exciting.
It is. They deserve that much, and the parents are so proud of them, and the students should be so proud of their long 12 years of achievement. It's not the way they wanted this to happen. I would be devastated if that was myself after kindergarten to 12 and not having the big hoopla, but just the same, they've done it. They're accomplished. They have graduated, and congratulations to one and all of all the schools in all of the area and all over Canada that are graduating.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you're right. And just a shout out to James M. Hill, of course, because we're both Tommies. But I've seen the graduation pictures and videos that they started this week, and great job by the faculty there. I know each one of the high schools is working to put a plan together for them to be able to honor the graduates, and I love it. I think it's amazing.
I'm proud too.
Yeah. Now, Judy, June is ALS month, and you have a little bit of information for us on that one.
It is ALS month, beginning June 1st. And unfortunately, ALS, there are about 1,000 Canadians diagnosed each year, and there's usually roughly about 3,000 Canadians that are suffering with it year-round. But ALS is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, and basically it's motor neuron disease, or what is better known as Lou Gehrig's disease. And Lou Gehrig was a beloved ball player who first brought attention to this in 1939. It's a very brutal disease in that the brain starts to disconnect and not work with the muscles, so that there's constant deterioration causing paralysis. And then there's the fact that people can all of a sudden down the road not walk, not talk, not eat, not swallow. And then, 80% of those that are affected die within 2 to 5 years of diagnosis. But there are strides being made, and we have to have hope. So there's huge funding going on all of the time. 100% of the funding comes from donors in Canada, and they're constantly researching to give hope to those living with the disease rather than a terminal prognosis. So let's just pray for all those that have ALS and pray that there is a treatment breakthrough.
Absolutely,
there is no cure at this point. Right.
No, and we do hope to see something coming soon.
Yes.
Over the last few days, they actually, a case that has been in the news here in the Miramichi region for a year. I think the anniversary was just a few days ago. The disappearance of Brandon Martin. They did actually find his remains this week, and it hasn't brought their son back, but I hope that it'll bring them a little bit of closure now.
I actually spoke to his mother on Monday, and her son and my son used to play in the same hockey team, so we traveled considerably around the province. I don't know which is worse, finding out, I know there's closure, but finding out that your son's remains have been found, it must be the worst feeling ever, but knowing that they're missing for a year, I think would be even worse.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Judy. Closure isn't comfort for sure, but at least they can bring him home now and move on to the next stage of how they're going to deal with all of this. So our thoughts are.
Oh, Vero, there was an arrest made of a 21-year-old male from the Grand Falls area. Did you know that?
Yes, I did hear that. So,
Yeah.
you know, it is
So,
amazing that
like
they've
I
also
said,
found
there will be more to come on that, but they did arrest an individual, a young man, 21 years.
in the region. There's been, you know, some pretty big forest fires in the last little bit. You know, with this hot weather that we've had and with no rain, there was, you know, Barnaby, Blackville, and I think a little bit of Rogersville. So, you know, we're pretty hopeful that that'll get under control soon. I know that our firefighters from across the province have been working diligently to get them under control. We've seen the water bombers picking up, you know, water from the rivers and putting all the work in. So it's been quite incredible.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out as well to the fire department, and hello to my dad, who was a firefighter for 35 years, one of the best. I know he would still do it if he could do it, but he gave it his all, and I'm so proud of him. To me, the first responders are heroes every day of the year, so keep on fighting the fight. And it's a dry, hot season, so we just hope for some rain intermittently. For sure, we need it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know what? We have a great show ahead. We have two wonderful guests, Natalie Bagel and Pat Jepson will be joining us for both segments of our show today. So we look forward to that. Grab a cool beverage, grab a little snack, and come on back after the break. We can't wait to share today's show with you. So thanks for hanging out with us. Hi, and welcome back to Have a Chat. I'm your host today, Veronique Arsenault, and I am joined by my most wonderful co-host, Judy Loge. Welcome, Judy, of course, to this segment.
Hi, everybody. Hello, Veronique and everyone.
Yeah, Audrey, of course, as we said earlier, couldn't be with us today. She is eyeball deep in trying to get her salon back open and all of those things that go with it, of course, with the new restrictions and the new way of operating. So we are wishing Audrey much success and much love, and we'll be glad to have her back next week. We are joined by two very incredible guests this segment, and we're pretty excited to have them back on the show. Unfortunately, I wasn't on the show when they were here the first time. I was off for probably a work reason, but we are going to be joined by Natalie Bagel and Pat Jepson, and they are going to share their story again. We're going to be able to catch up with them, see how they're doing, and really just kind of jump back into their lives again and get some good news stories. So welcome, Natalie and Pat, to the show. We're so excited to have you back.
Thanks for having us.
So I'll get you, Pat, I'll get you to kick it off. And yeah, Pat, I'll get you to kick it off and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, because, you know, just in case they didn't see our first show, we'd love to hear all about you.
Oh, well, I'm a father of two boys, and got my wife Adeline and stepsons, and which are three of them, Jamie and Maddie and Chrissy Lynn, and we got a bunch of young ones run around. And anyways, I drive bus, have been for about 30 years, but I have been with this school district for about 41 years. And anyways, yeah, that's my story, I guess. Besides waiting for a kidney.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you did wait a long time, didn't you? But we'll get Natalie to introduce herself as well, and then I know Judy's got a ton of questions to ask. So Natalie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Natalie Bagel, and I have two boys, 15 and 12, Alexander and Benjamin. I'm 45 years old. Oh, almost 45. I'm going to be 45 this year. And I work for Service Canada. I've always thought of organ donation. And then when I seen the opportunity to be tested, I jumped right on and got tested, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Natalie, you were no relation whatsoever to Pat. You were, like you said, you were an acquaintance. You worked with him. You knew his wife. It's pretty incredible that somebody that's not immediate family or even extended family would give such a gift of life to somebody that, you know, is that just a wonderful friend. You must be an angel, in my opinion. I'm sure you're hearing that from Pat at this point.
I knew Pat because he was my bus driver in junior high and high school. And he was just a very awesome person, and he always made me laugh, and I just never forgot him. So when I seen that on it on Facebook, he needed a kidney, so then I just contacted the kidney donation center in Moncton, and it just, everything happened there. So
that's amazing. So did you have to go through a lot of testing in the beginning, Natalie? And was there a lot of preparation? Like, it took a long time too, from the time that you got tested and were matched till you actually were able to donate your kidney to Pat. So, like, talk to us a little bit about that prep time.
The prep time, it probably took. I didn't write exact dates down, but I know that Adeline has everything written down per, like, dates. She has dates, times, everything she would know. But I believe it was February or May. I think it was May of 2019 that I started. No, it wasn't. Anyway, it was a year and some months that it took for us to get from the very beginning to finally getting a date for the surgery. The testing isn't, it doesn't take that long. I think it probably took about maybe four months to get all the testing done and finally get everything okay, that I was a match for Pat. And then at that point, once we realized I was a match, then we had to wait for the surgery date, which took forever, it felt like. But we finally got, I got the call. And then I got a call on, I believe it was March the 4th, that the surgery was going to be performed on the 12th of March. So there was no time to do much preparation. I knew as soon as I got the call, it was the most amazing feeling, because we were waiting for so long, and it was just wait. And then once we got the call, it was like I felt like a kid at Christmas. Like, I couldn't wait to get it done. I couldn't wait for everything to get going and for Pat to finally get the kidney and get better.
Pat, if I may just ask the question, just before then all of this, you were feeling pretty bad health-wise. I mean, you were receiving dialysis for quite a long period of time.
It was taking a while, and I was getting, energy level was going lower and lower. So, and anyways, it was out there and nobody came. And then when Natalie come forward, it was like, whoa, like Adeline called me up from work and said, you might have a donor. And it's like, oh yeah, like, and they got talking, and Adeline and Natalie talk all the time. And anything that happens with Natalie, it happened more or less to me too. It comes through Adeline. And then when Natalie's saying, okay, I'm doing this and we're moving forward, because they always went to Natalie first because she was the donor, and they want to have her okay of this date and that date first. And then it would go through Adeline to me, more or less. So, and then when it finally happened, like, there's a joy too here. So, thank you, Natalie.
You're welcome.
Yes.
What was that weight like though for you, Pat? Like, I mean, that's a heavy load that you were carrying there, and you weren't feeling the greatest. But between that time when, Natalie was deemed a match and everything, what was that weight like from that day until the actual surgery?
Actually, it was very frustrating, and because once I knew I had the donor, and it was just dragging on. But as I say, when you go for dialysis, and there's so many other people, dialysis and all that, and you've got this idea that you've got a donor, and it's taken so long to get to Halifax to get the surgery done. So it was frustrating, and I know my health was going down a little each day, and so sometimes you just thought it wasn't going to happen. So, and it happened.
And it happened. And if I might just say, Pat, from the time we had you on our show back some time ago until right now, looking at you, I can certainly say that you are so much healthier looking since your surgery. I just have to give you that big pat in the back that you've been doing basically what the doctors must have told you to do. And thanks to Natalie, you're so much better health-wise. And the surgery itself, I guess the viewers, Veronique and I, want to know what the surgery entailed, basically what the doctors told you that you would expect. And you can maybe tell us a little bit about your operation and what you had to do. You and Natalie can each share what took place at the hospital.
Okay. Well, at the hospital, we had to go down when we knew our day, the snowstorm in Miramichi, of course, and it wasn't going to stop us. And anyways, Natalie, we picked up Natalie, and off to Halifax we went the day before, and had to stay in Halifax overnight because we had to be there in the morning. So we got there in the morning, and they took Natalie one direction, and they took me another direction, and I went to the 6th floor in Halifax, and I started getting prepped. We had to go for X-rays and blood work and other things like this. And then we met the doctors. They all started talking about exactly what was going to happen, what the prep was going to go. And it basically went every so well before the surgery. Like, wasn't nervous or anything, and more or less still excited that we were there and this was going to happen. And so, do you want me to go about the after the surgery, or just wait?
Keep going, Pat.
Well.
Okay, well, after
Natalie,
the surgery,
yeah.
Okay, I'll let Natalie go.
Okay, well, for me, from the very moment we got the call to actually be able to go for the surgery, I was just completely excited. There was so much adrenaline. There was so much adrenaline pumping through me. I couldn't wait. So we went down the night before, like Pat said. We had some testing done. Then the next morning, I believe it was 7 o'clock, they rolled us up to me up to the OR first. And as I was waiting to go into the actual OR, I was waiting outside the OR, the OR doors. Everything just hit me all at once. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe what I'm actually doing. Like, I'm going to be saving someone's life. It just, I mean, I realized it, but when I was sitting outside of the OR waiting to go in for the actual surgery, it was like, wow. And I just completely started to cry. I couldn't, and I think it was the first real cry that I actually had that from the time that I realized, or from the time I had offered to donate. But just being outside that OR and knowing like the next thing when I wake up, it's going to be all over and Pat's going to be on his road to recovery. It was just the most amazing feeling in the world. And I was out talking with the nurses, and they said, okay, go on into the OR. So I walked myself into the OR and laid down, and the next thing I knew, I woke up and I felt fine. I was groggy and everything, but it was just a typical surgery. It was just a straightforward surgery. I have three incisions. I have one just a tiny bit above my belly button, another one on my rib cage, on the bottom of my rib cage, and I have one in my groin. And the biggest one I have is probably about this big. And I was in the hospital for, I believe, 3 days, and I was out. I think we had the surgery on a Thursday, and I was out on Sunday on my way home. And of course, I had a little bit of pain and whatever comes with surgery, but the biggest thing that I can say to anybody that's going to consider it, it's worth every little pain that you could possibly have. I don't know. It's the most amazing thing, and I think that everybody should at least try to be a donor if they can. It was
wow.
And I honestly, like, if I had extra kidneys to give away, I would do it, because the feeling that you get to actually be able to give someone life is the most amazing thing. And the next amazing thing to that, well, the first amazing thing, I guess, would be having my children. That's how I can compare it. I can compare it to having children, and the joy and it's amazing. I would do it again in a heartbeat if I had extra kidneys to give away. I feel bad for everybody that doesn't get to experience it, really, because it's amazing.
Natalie, you're special, Natalie.
I feel wonderful. I couldn't be happier. Like, I just, it's given me a different kind of outlook on life too, because I just look at things in a brighter light, I guess. I'm more optimistic about things, and I don't know, I can't explain the feeling other than it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
What did your family think, Natalie, when you said, by the way, I'm going to be tested, and oh, by the way, I'm now a match? What did your family think of that?
My mom and dad were very, very concerned about me, because they're elderly and they didn't really get it. They're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing giving away your body parts? Like, they couldn't understand. And I'm like, I've got extra to give, and if it's just something that I've always thought about, and I just told them not to worry, everything will be fine. And my kids, they were, my kids were very excited for me to go to the actual surgery as well. They came down. My boys came down the night before the surgery, and they came to see me after I get out of surgery, because the surgery, I didn't want them to be there before I went in because it was too early, and I didn't know if they could even find their way around the hospital or not. But they were there after I got out, and they seen me, and they seen everything was good, and they seen me in wonderful spirits. So I want them to know that I want them to do that too.
Pat,
amazing.
So, Pat, how long were you in the hospital after your surgery, and what did you feel like post-surgery?
Post-surgery, like, I was there for a week. Like, we had surgery, and I was out by Wednesday. But more or less the doctors were saying that I was healing really well. Like, I was in the step-down, after you come out of surgery, you're in a step-down room, but you're supposed to be there for 24 to 48 hours. And they moved me from the step-down before 12 hours and put me back in the ward where I was looked after. So I felt really good after that, very little pain, and I was just more or less on Tylenol from that point on after that. So, yeah, and what was the second part of your question?
Well, no, that was basically how long you were in for, and basically you answered the question. I guess you might want to say where the surgery took place, Pat, and how long the actual operation was.
We're actually just going to hold that thought for now, just because we're going to go to break. Yeah, we're going to go to break, sure. And then we'll come back to that one right after when we come back, okay? So don't go too far. Grab your cool beverage, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Have a Chat. We are having a fantastic show, as always, and we are so lucky that our guests have come to share their story with us. I am your host today, Veronique Arsenault, and I am joined by my wonderful, stunningly beautiful, amazingly amazing co-host, Judy Loge.
Okay, I'm going to try not to laugh. The heat's getting to me, so it's enough, Veronique. Thank you, and back to you. I think, Pat, I guess my question is, people would like to know if they ever have to undergo this surgery, how long it actually takes to carry it out, how many doctors there might have been present for this whole kidney transplant, and a little bit of detail about the actual operation itself.
Oh, well, there's, really can't tell you how long it took because they put you to sleep and away you go. So, 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. And there's a pre-team that, pre-surgery team that come in, they interview you and do everything in your room. And then there's a surgical team. So we probably dealt with about 7 doctors. And anyways, and it's, Natalie was saying, they come, there was 2 other patients trying to get a transplant the same day. So we were all kind of competing to get down there first. So anyways, they come and got me first. And because Natalie was as a live donor. And they brought me downstairs, and Adeline, my wife, was there, and she had the video camera, but she had to run downstairs to get a video of Natalie being wheeled down to the surgery room as far as she was allowed to go. And then she'd come back up and she videoed me down. And you go downstairs to the operating rooms, and they left me in the hallway there, and every once in a while a doctor would come by and they'd look at my chart, and then they move on and make sure I ask a couple questions. And when I was in the hallway, and it's a corridor with lots of stuff, the first thing, who wheels by me but Natalie coming out of surgery. And I wasn't sure it was her at first. Anyways, I wanted to say hi, but I didn't. But I wasn't sure. But same thing with me. They take you up to the door, and they walk you in, and they lay you on a table, and they tell you everything from step to step, exactly what was going to happen in the operating room. And anyways, after the surgery, they take you up to another room, and they allowed Adeline, when they start to come out of the anesthetics and all that, they invited Adeline come in for about a minute. They just want to check, and then they sent me up to the step-down unit. So, yeah. So, and the kidney, it started right away. The doctor said it just jump-started real quick. So, as they say, we were such a match.
Yay!
That was a great. So, it's like divine timing, like, because as it is, we got in there and they were closing down surgery, non-essential surgeries the next day. And then a week later, the borders were being closed. So yeah, we didn't get it done. Most likely, we'd be waiting for another year or longer. So they were more.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's incredible to know, especially given everything that's going on right now, how close you were to not getting in and not getting it done right now. Natalie, what's the recovery been like for you since that surgery? You know, we not only did you have surgery, but then of course we entered into a global pandemic. So how's that been for you?
Well, I believe it kind of worked in our favor because where Pat and I we were recovering anyway. We were home and not able to go anywhere, but we weren't able to go anywhere anyway. So it just, everything seemed to happen exactly the way that it should have happened. Everything was just like, it just was the most perfect situation that could have ever been. Because I had my kids home with me because there was no school. I had my wonderful boyfriend home with me who was taking care of me a lot during that time. So it was perfect. I mean, it's a negative. The pandemic is negative, or a negative thing, but it was in our favor as far as I can say. But the recovery was easy. I think it was quite easy. When I was in the hospital, I was up walking the day after the surgery, and I was home on a Sunday, and I just basically, the first week I was home, I laid pretty low, and I did a little bit of stuff here and there, and then I think by the third week, while I was home recovering, I was outside walking. Like it was a piece of cake.
Wow, that's amazing. Pat, I just wanted to, that's amazing. Pat, I just wanted to ask you, so now that you've had your surgery and you've been advised by the doctors as to what to do and what not to do, it's been approximately 11 weeks now since you've had your surgery. What are your limitations and how far have you come since the kidney transplant?
Well, I have no pain or nothing like that, and exercise-wise, I do the same thing. I get out walking, and but I walk with my wife Adeline, as just in case was losing balance or anything, and each day she got me out there. We went a little bit further and a little bit further, so and do a few little things around the house, and I feel like 100%, if not 150% better now, and each day getting better and stronger and all that. So it's yeah, no, I have to go to Moncton. I had to at the beginning twice a week for blood work and seeing the doctors and other tests, and now I'm down to blood work once a week. That's done here in the Miramichi, and now that I don't have to go to the Dumont Hospital now, because we do our consultations with the doctor over the phone, so it saves us from running a lot. And yeah, I'm on a diet of heart healthy diet, so just basically watch my salt intake. Really no salt, but I cheat a bit, but very little. So yeah, out in the sun, like as I say, I got to go and float in the pool or something like that. I have a canopy over a floating thing, because the sun, being a kidney disease and that transplant, that it more or less I'm easier accessible to getting skin cancers. So I have to watch.
Oh, I didn't realize that was. I didn't know that was part of it. But you've definitely gained weight. You're looking really good there, Pat. From the time, like I said, you were on before until now, you must have gained how many pounds?
I figured I've gained at least 7 kilograms at least. So I don't know what that is in pounds.
Who's good in math?
Well, it's about
Yeah,
2.2 pounds per kilogram, so about 15 pounds.
Good. That's great.
I don't know. but it's just some of the things that wait, you gave up kidney.
I put
that
on
extra weight,
not because I gave up a kidney.
That's Natalie.
Yeah, we call that the COVID body now, Natalie. I'm with you.
Yes.
I've put on a few pounds since COVID started too.
Yeah. But no, like really, and everything's good. Like, and I feel healthier. So, and as I said, the doctor said it's going to take 3 to 6 months to really show a great improvement. So, because Adeline says sometimes she doesn't think I've got that energy, but I find if I get up right away in the morning and start moving, you have the more energy to do things. But if you get up and have a coffee and you sit there thinking about what happened and all the joy of this stuff, and first thing you're on the couch longer than you want to be. So, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Natalie, tell us a little bit about that special necklace you've got on.
My special necklace was given to me by Pat and Adeline. It's a kidney. It's a little kidney. You can see it there now. And it's going to be engraved with the date of the surgery. And Pat has the matching kidney. He's got a keychain with the matching kidney on it, so he's going to get the date engraved on it as well. And I never take it off. I wear it every day.
I love it. That's awesome.
It's beautiful. And you guys have had quite a large following regarding your whole story from beginning until present. I mean, you had the team of doctors celebrating along with you, and it was in Halifax, correct? Tell us a little bit about the after party. Let's call it an after party of let's get this done and we did it kind of a thing.
Well, go ahead, Natalie.
The after party, well, we really didn't get much of an after party. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to.
No, I meant a celebration of victory. When doctors come through a transplant that smoothly, they must be like, yes, we did it. Look at this couple that matched so beautifully. No wrinkles in the surgery. I mean, it's a beautiful outcome.
Yeah.
They must have been victorious.
They were, and one of the doctors, I can't remember if it was Adeline that told me this or not, but they had thanked us for pushing so hard to get the surgery done, because he said because of us, he got a job with the Halifax, the hospital in Halifax. He thanked, I think it was Adeline that he was talking to, but Adeline told me, of course, and he thanked us for being so persistent and trying to get this surgery on the go. And they said that there were some doctors hired because of it. So that's awesome.
And they
Totally awesome.
And they keep telling us to push for more and let it be known and everything. Like, our story started a long time ago, and I know we probably bugged the heck out of people. We got it out in the papers and CBC, and then with your show. And when we were at the hospital, we wore shirts in. At what was one was I'm the donor, and Natalie had one. And anyways, the doctors looked at the shirts and they thought it was fantastic. And Adeline, so Adeline was taking pictures of all the doctors, and like they all went around. They loved the idea, they loved the story, and they just kept on coming. One doctor come with his own camera and wanted to get a picture of my T-shirt and that, and he said we both came with them. And anyway, I wore mine until surgery.
Kidney donor, because yours said kidney recipient.
My one said I was the kidney recipient running on a spare, and then Natalie's.
And mine said kidney donor, who wouldn't want a piece of this?
Love it.
I still wear
That's cute.
I still wear it.
Those shirts were donated.
Little Rugged Barn.
Shannon Summers.
Shannon Summers, okay. Yeah. So do you recommend then, like, if I wanted to be a donor, let's say, and decided that I was hoping to help with all of that, do I just give Moncton a call and say I'd like to be tested to see if I can match anybody, or what do you do?
Yeah, no, they're always looking.
Go ahead.
They're always looking for somebody, and there's a number, and they you call them, and they start right up with it, and then you'll go for testing. Like, there's a barrage of tests to make sure that you alone are a candidate for a kid to be able to give a kidney, and how healthy you are, and there's a lot to it. Like, a lot of kidney donors want to be. I was offered, many people come to me and ask me if they could give me a kidney, but they had issues with their own and said, no, can't do it. You have to be in good health and all that. So, and I was
really
old
straightforward.
positive. I was old positive, and Natalie come along being negative, which made it a perfect match. Yeah. And so, and they go through that. They go through all the testing for it. So,
I call it divine intervention.
It's pretty perfect, Judy. Pretty perfect.
Beautiful. And I mean, to think, Pat, that you were my son's bus driver, and that you were both of my son's bus driver, and then that Evan, now that he was in Halifax doing his practice there at the hospital, it was able to go and see you, and I know how thrilled he was to see you as a recovery patient, and he got to see Natalie too. And I mean, it's a small town, it's a small world, so he was just beaming when he got to say, I saw Pat there. I mean, you told me first that I was excited. Yeah.
That was really awesome that he stopped to visit. I thought that was so awesome. Yeah, it was really nice to see him. Yeah.
He was proud.
So we're just about to wrap up. We've got a little bit over a minute left. Any last words, any advice, anything that you really want our viewers to know, Natalie?
What I've been saying all along, I just think that everybody should consider being a live organ donor or an organ donor, whatever you can. But why not be a live organ donor and be able to experience what I got to experience? And all you have to do is call the Moncton Hospital and they'll be able to hook you up. Just tell them what you're looking for and they can direct you to the right department. But
amazing.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I love it. I think it's fantastic, and add for our audience and things that you'd like them to know in our last minute or so.
I'd like to thank God and family and friends and my church community for the love and support. And I want to thank the people who gave to the GoFundMe and privately donated. Legion and Knights of Columbus for donations, and Michelle Conroy, which did a great job, her MLA. She pushed and she went and talked to MLAs in Moncton and got the ball rolling even more. They called Halifax. So it makes you be with the donations and everybody and support from the Miramichi. I'm really proud to be a Miramichier. So, yeah.
We're proud of you.
Thank you very much for the GoFundMe as well. Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Got one big thank
Beautiful
you.
Story.
The biggest thank you to Natalie.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yeah, my last question there is, do you guys stay in touch?
Yes.
Kind of.
Well,
through Facebook. We're trying to get together, but with this whole racket going on, we can't really do anything, but we're going to try.
Yeah,
we talk a lot.
Understandable.
We do.
All the same.
Nice.
Natalie goes through my wife and talks to Adeline all the time, so they keep talking. Great.
But this will be a forever bond because of your generous heart, Natalie. Just being an extraordinary human being. I mean, not everyone would do that, okay? I'm just getting emotional thinking about it, and you saw the need there, and you did it. So forever, I know Pat and his wife are eternally grateful, and you will always feel that huge part of making a change in his life totally. So gratitude to you, and congratulations, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to you guys.
So we want to thank both Natalie Bagel and Pat Jepson for joining us today. It's been a fantastic show as always. We are always so incredibly lucky to have the guests that we have. So we hope that you have a great week. We love talking with you every week, and please tune in next time. So thanks from everybody at Have a Chat. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks.
See you next week.
Thanks. Bye.